Hi, my name is Ashish, and this is the part 2 wherein we are working on to deploy and run a containerized web app with Azure App Service. So let me log on to the portal and continue from there. Alright, so this is where we left off, right? I did a clone of one GitHub sample web app project wherein we have the Docker file, solution file and the image. And we created the image and placed it in the Azure Container Registry. Now we will create and deploy a web app from that Docker image. So in a nutshell, you know that Azure App Service provides the hosting environment for an Azure-based web app. We can configure App Service to retrieve the image for the web app from a repo in Azure Container Registry. Right, so in this video, as we know that we have updated the image to the Azure Container Registry, and that image is ready to be deployed as a web app on the Azure App Service. Right, so we will first of all enable Docker access to the Azure Container Registry. We will use Docker to log into the registry and pull the web image that you will deploy. So this is the pull command that we have. And Docker needs a username and password to perform this action. The ACR allows you to enable the registry name as the username and admin access as the password to allow Docker to log into the container registry, right? So to do that, let me exit out of it. I will click on access keys for my container registries. Admin user is enabled. This is my username. This is the password. Okay. So you know that I have admin option enabled because when I was creating this ACR, I set the admin mode enabled to be true. Right. So I will create a web app for me to deploy this image. I will do web app here. Okay. Or I'll do here. Microsoft web app. I'll do create. I will place it in the same resource group. My web app name, test Azure web app, and the publish mode is not a code, it's a Docker container. And I would go for Linux. Region I would go for East US because my ACR is also in East US. So we'll have to select the same location that is close or in the same resource group or in the same location where my ACR is hosted. Right? Let me go with the default one, whatever is selected. I'll use next Docker. On this Docker tab, option is single container. My image source is not a quick start, it is my Azure Container Registry, which the name of that is test Azure ACR. Image is the web image, tag is the latest. So if you have another image created with a different tag, you will see that in the drop down. So this is the importance of adding the tags. And for the startup command, I will leave this setting empty. I would go for monitoring. I'll choose no here. Tags I don't want as of now, but in production, it's your decision to go for tags or not. I'll do review and create. And I will click on create. It's initializing the deployment. Okay, the deployment is in progress. Oh, I'll pause the video here and we'll test the web app when it is done. Okay, the deployment is complete. Let me go to the web app. Okay, this is the URL. Let me click the URL here. And this is the static page that we are getting. That is getting deployed. You see the carousel effect as well. That is getting deployed from that container image. Alright. Now let's say we have to update the image and automatically redeploy the web app. So every time I go to my container image, this one, right? I update the code and I want it to automatically deploy to this web app, and I can see the change when I browse the URL, right? So continuous deployment is a key feature for many fast moving organizations. They need to deploy the latest version of their software quickly, but with minimum of efforts or fuss. So in the example scenario, the development team adds new feature and enhancements to the web app regularly. For this reason, the team has decided to adopt a continuous deployment approach. In this example, we'll configure the continuous deployment of a web app that would use an image in the Azure Container Registry. So to go into this direction, let me tell you what is a webhook, right? So Azure App Service support continuous deployment using webhooks as well. So this is your web app. If I go here, deployment center. So webhook is a service offered by Azure Container Registry. Services and applications can subscribe to the webhook to receive notification about updates to images in the registry, right? A web app that uses App Service can subscribe to an Azure Container Registry webhook to receive notifications about updates to the image that contains the web app. When the image is updated, an App Service receives a notification and the app automatically restarts the site. Site pulls the latest version of the image. And there is also a container registry task feature. Click on here. So this is a webhook that I was talking about. You can add a webhook here. I'll show you how to do it, and then I was talking about the task feature as well. This is the task. So we can use the task feature of container registry to rebuild the image whenever its source code changes automatically. We configure a container registry task to monitor the GitHub repos that contains the code and trigger a build each time it changes. If the build finishes successfully, container registry can store the image in the repo. If the web app is set up for continuous integration in App Service, it receives a notification via the webhook and it would update the app. Now let's see how we can use these features to enable continuous integration for the App Service. So let's enable continuous integration. So the container settings page of an App Service resource in the Azure portal automates the setup of continuous integration. And if we turn on the continuous deployment, App Service configures a webhook in the container registry to notify an App Service endpoint. And we can extend the continuous integration to source code by using a container registry task. So if I go to my web app and if I do this container settings option under setting, so this is my container registry name, this is my image, startup file. So you see this option here, continuous deployment is turned to off. Let me switch it to on and save it. You can also see the logs here, right? So let it save. Settings updated successfully. Now we'll have to go to the Azure Cloud Shell. You can access it from the same window. It's just that it was loaded here, right? So we'll have to go to the .NET Simple Web Pages folder. .NET. Okay. Give me 1 minute. Okay, so I'm into the MS Learn on .NET Simple Web Pages, and we will run the commands to replace the default page in the web app, that is the index.chtml, with the new version that has an additional item in the carousel control. So if you see this website, right, so you see this effect, Microsoft Azure, ASP.NET Core, Visual Studio, Azure Core. So there are 3, right? So this change will add an additional item into this carousel control. So these commands simulate continued development on the app and add a new page to the carousel. So I'll do move index.html to index.chtml.old, right? Then move index.chtml.new to index.chhtml. Alright, so now we'll run the next set of commands to rebuild the image for the web app and push it to the container registry. So again, I will go to go back, CD, to MS Learn service, under the .NET, .NET. So I'll do ACR build registry test Azure ACR. Image is web image in this directory, right? So it will build it again. It will take few seconds. Let me pause the video and come back. Alright, this is also done. So now what we'll do is we'll go to the webhook span of the container registry. Let me bring it down. We'll see the webhooks on the container registry. You see this, I have this webhook. If you click on it, it's for this web and it's pushing the web image latest. HTTP status is okay. Now let me go to the web app and refresh it. Right, so earlier we were seeing ASP.NET Core, Visual Studio, Microsoft Azure. Now here are 4. Welcome to continuous deployment with Azure Container Registry. So now the web app has been updated and redeployed automatically based on the new image. The webhook service in your registry notified the web app that the container image has been modified and it triggered an update. Right, so what did we learn in these two parts? Right, so we can use Azure Container Registry to hold Docker images, and we can construct web apps based on these images. And by using a webhook, we can configure continuous deployment for a web app. This process would monitor the image for the web app in Container Registry and causes the web app to be redeployed automatically if the image changes. So now to end this, what we'll have to do it, we will have to go to this resource group, right, to delete my resources. Otherwise I would be getting charged money from Azure because these resources would be running. So I would go and I would take the resource group name here and delete it. So it would delete all the corresponding resources that I created to do this videos to show you guys the demo, right? So I hope this was informative for all of you guys. If you have any queries, please mention them in the comment section and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you. Have a good day ahead.